Hey, welcome back everyone to Forage Friday. I know it's been a while. We've been running and gunning. Been a lot of shows and a lot of things going on. We finally had time to sit down and record another one for you guys. Sam, how you doing today?
I am doing well. Doing well. Here in North Carolina, we're summertime, then wintertime, back to springtime, and then to summertime, and then back to wintertime. But that is the reason that on our thermostats for our heating systems, we can turn heat and air on at the same time. Because our weather sometimes is, I guess I could just say bipolar.
Pretty well that way for everybody in the transition zone.
Yeah.
So it's we had green grass at Christmas. We had green grass in mid-January, Bermuda grass, and then lots of cold and a pretty good snow in between.
So, yeah, we actually are in a lot of the state of North Carolina is in at least D2 and some places D3 drought status right now. We really, really have had limited rainfall all winter. Half inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch here and there. I know this is not what we're going to talk about today, Jeff, but can I throw this tidbit of information out there? So I know different places in the South and in the United States has experienced some winter and spring drought. There is a little bit of a silver lining to that in the fact that the grass right now is green with limited water. People are like, oh, I really like to have a wet winter, wet spring. Well, when your grass starts growing and you've had more than adequate moisture, the roots tend to stay shallow because they don't have to grow deep to get to the moisture. But when we go through a spring with limited moisture, below average, then the roots themselves are reaching deeper, growing deeper in the soil to get to the available water. And so a lot of times when we have a wet spring and then say in June, it turns dry, within 10 days, 2 weeks, our grass really starts showing that drought stress severely. When you've got a drier spring, then it takes a little bit longer to show the effects of drought stress just because of the way the roots grow.
Yeah, we think we got 1.1 inches this past weekend. Was really excited about that rainfall. And then the drought monitor came out today. And we're still in north central Oklahoma, or a good part of Oklahoma is still in D3, even with the rainfalls that we did get.
Last Sunday they promised us severe weather, and at one point they had us up to 1/2 to 3/4 of an inch, and I think we got maybe 1/10 and a half rain last Sunday. Stayed cloudy, but very, very little moisture fell.
And the biggest worry, going into wintertime is when you go into winter dry. Especially its effect on warm season grasses. You tend to lose a lot of grass and not realize it. So coming out, or we're into April now. Water grass is going to look like coming out. We're mid 60s soil temps, mid to low 60s soil temps right now here in Oklahoma. Grass is greening up. You can tell where you've had really good moisture. Going into fall, Bermuda grass is green, it's thick, it's growing like wildfire. Everywhere else where you haven't had good moisture is just kind of coming along really slow. Um, but one of your biggest worries is did you lose any? Did you go in so dry that you actually had some freeze damage? And you might look out across the piece of ground right now and you see green everywhere, and you think, well, it's there's no dead areas, but your actual percent of living cover, you could have lost quite a bit, and you don't see it visually. So that's a pretty good concern, you know, going into late April, early May, is what are our Bermuda grasses really look like, or warm season grasses? Did we lose any? Um, and it's hard to tell sometimes.
Right.
And we will definitely know it by how much weed cover we get. The
Yeah.
weeds will tell. The weeds will tell the story, especially if you're in a Bermuda grass system and your Bermuda grass has thinned out. Maybe not visually, but it's thinned out. You will have more weeds in those areas.
Exactly. I've always taught that bare ground in a pasture equals weeds. Sunlight, if sunlight can hit that soil, there are weed seeds there in the seed bank, and if it thins out and sunlight can hit it, they're going to grow. Jeff, if we can back up just a second, I will say this. Also, this is not on warm season grasses, but on our cool season annuals. One thing I did notice is because of the dry fall, the dry winter, getting ready to turn some cows out on some jumbo annual ryegrass, but my jumbo is about 2.5 weeks behind where it typically is in growth and in yield. So that's just something you got to watch out for. And I fertilized it, but I can see that the fertilizer just really did not spread out because we didn't have enough moisture to get it. So it's green streaks everywhere. And I don't think it's quite my ability to run a fertilizer buggy. Maybe part of it is, but I know I didn't overlap that bad. So that's where some of the streaks are. I couldn't have overlapped. But yeah, that's just something that we got to deal with when we have these dry fall, dry winter, dry springs.
Yep. And that's something, when you're talking about the jumbo rye, I planted a lot this past fall, and we got a pretty timely rain, got some, coming up, and then it just sat there because we just weren't getting moisture. It's finally starting to come on, starting to look pretty good, but you're right. We're probably 2 or 3 weeks behind what we should be, which is good news for the hay producer, because we're extending some hay period when those hay producers really need it. With the lower cattle numbers, this extended haying season is definitely going to help them out. But let's talk about some warm season options. You got any? What are some of your suggestions for warm season options for pastures?
Well, I'm gonna talk about the Barenbrug options, and for grazing and or hay, that is going to be our grit seeded Bermuda grass or our Mojo forage crabgrass. I mean, two wonderful options. Now, since we've had this discussion on drought and what we've been through in the fall, winter, and spring, that's where I have to bring up Barenbrug's Yellow Jacket Enhanced Technology seed coating. Because we do have this as a germination aid, and Yellow Jacket is a cornstarch derivative called Azuba, and it can absorb up to 600 times its weight in water, so it can help find available water in the soil to get it across the seed coat to get the germination started. But it also will protect that seed even in drier environments. So our seed coating is just not a polymer seed coating like people are used to. It is actually designed to be a germination aid. And so our grit seeded Bermuda, as well as our Mojo, is going to come coated in Yellow Jacket. If you're organic, we do have an organic version called Nature Jacket. that is OMRI approved. OMRI is the organic materials. Oh shoot, I'm going to mention. I can't remember RI registration something. But anyway, that is approved for organic production. Then, if you're just looking at a warm season crop for hay, that is great for cattle and excellent for horses, that would be our Moxie teff grass, again, coated in yellow jacket. Teff is not a grazing grass. It grows so rapidly. The roots are going to be fairly shallow. Now, it is a drought tolerant grass because teff comes from Ethiopia, where there is limited rainfall as well. They actually use it as a food crop for humans there. But teff is a low non-structural carbohydrate grass. So if you've got customers, you grow horse hay, and you got customers with horses that have metabolic issues and are sensitive to frutans, the non-structural carbohydrates, this is a low NSC grass and will be a low NSC hay, no endophyte, so perfect for brood mares, everything. Those are really three of our options that we have. Then we have some other supplemental, our clovers, our Barduro red clover, our Regal Grays white clover, that are really designed for the South, that can be incorporated into, say, grit and or mojo down the road. I would not try to put the clovers in the first year, but second year, then you can come back frost seed these clovers in to these crops. And this is going to give you that summertime grazing, especially those of us here in the transition zone. We typically, over the years, have just always tried to do it with cool season grasses, cool season perennials. And honestly, especially in the transition zone, we need to be looking at about 70% of our acreage in cool season perennials, but then we need to have at least 30% of our acreage in warm season. It can be perennials or annuals. But the nice thing about the perennials is we grow them, then we overseed them with cool season annuals. And so it's like we're utilizing 125% of our acreage.
Yeah, and those percentages will change as you move across the transition zone.
Yeah.
Due to elevation, just different things. So here, where I'm located in north central Oklahoma, you're going to reverse that. You're probably going to be more 75% warm season, 25% cool season. But it is good to have option for both in your grazing program.
Yeah, you can't depend on just one, and you can't depend on one grass. I was talking to a non-ag person just yesterday, last evening, and he asked me about local beef. And I said, local beef is wonderful, but go into the grocery store. I mean, support the beef industry is what you want to do. But I will tell you, there are people out there selling local beef, advertising as grass-fed, that are not raising their cows according to nutritional standards. If you want a good tasting beef, you've got to meet protein and energy requirements at that stage of growth. If you limit protein and or energy at a certain stage of growth, that animal not grow correctly. The marbling is not going in. And if you don't know what marbling is, it is the intermuscular fat between the strands of muscle that when you cook it, that fat basically dissolves, and that's where a lot of your tenderness comes from, as well as some of your taste. And if you're not meeting nutritional requirements, you're not going to get that marbling. You're going to get a tougher beef. You're going to get a gamey tasting beef. So you really want to know the producer that you're buying from, and know that they sort of know what they're doing before you go and you start spending, say, extra money. Supporting local farms is wonderful. Please do not take me wrong, but not all producers are created equal. I'm sorry. I've got to say it.
And I'm going to kind of spin off of that. Not all grasses are created equal.
You got it. Amen. If we're going to preach, let's just preach and say amen.
So yeah, not all producers are created equal. Not all grasses are created equal. So, one of the things that that I see a lot is somebody goes into their local ag retail store and they ask for, hey, I need a Bermuda grass or I need a crabgrass for my pasture. And a lot of times what they do, the first thing that retailer offers up is the cheapest thing they have in the store.
Cheapest thing, and that's what
that's got no research behind it, no genetics behind it. Something somebody just harvested, and those people are not looking out for the people that produce that brown bag special are not looking out for your best interest. They don't care about the quality of the forage. They don't care about the yield that it provides you. So yes, not all grasses are created equal either. You can go cheap, but you're going to get cheap back. Yeah. If you want a Cadillac, don't go out and buy Yugo. I'm probably aging myself by saying that, but
no, I completely understand that cultural reference because I got a few years on you, but in saying that, I'm just going to go ahead and say so our viewers know that I've already retired from one job. That I spent a career in education. I taught school for 10 years. I was with Cooperative Extension in North Carolina for 25 years, county extension director in my home county, retired. Then I got asked to come back to be interim county director in the county just west of me. I love Cooperative Extension, but I also feel privileged and honored to be able to work for Barenbrug. I got introduced to Barenbrug during my extension career. I studied up on their varieties, and I actually work for this company because I believe in their varieties and what they have to offer, the education that they offer, the support that they offer to producers. And yeah, when you shop Barenbrug, it's like buying a King Ranch Ford over an XL. Or it's like buying a Acura instead of a Honda or a Lexus instead of a Toyota. Yeah, we are really more of the high end, but there are things I don't really know of another company that has somebody in my position just to talk to end users, to drive demand, talk about how our products fit into your production system. But I'm here to answer your questions. And if you got questions, that's what one of the things I'm hired to do.
Yeah.
And so that's that support.
And that is something at Barenbrug that we believe. It's not just we put a lot of added value in our products, but if we don't help provide the education on how to use those products right, then you lose that added value.
Yeah. Well, and the bosses know this, that I've had those calls and they're saying, I want to use such a product. And I've talked to them and they've done no soil testing. They are not ready to plant our product. And I'm sitting here, I'll sit there on the phone and go, no, you need to wait a year. Please don't go spend the money on our product until you spent the money getting a soil test and then getting the lime applied, the phosphorus, potassium, those nutrients that you need to get your soil ready to receive our seed. We are empowered to say, yeah, you're ready, or you're not ready. And one thing when I'm at a trade show, I tell folks when they pick up our Forage product guide, I say that everything in our Forage product guide grows somewhere in North America, but nothing in our product guide, short of maybe our Mojo Forage crabgrass, grows everywhere in North America. So we are very specific with our regions and looking at where our products will grow and where they won't grow. And so we're going to tell you our honest opinion, professional opinion of, can you grow this variety or can you not grow this variety? We want to make you successful so that we're successful.
Absolutely. And that's the bottom line, is we want to make sure that our producers are successful. I know Sam and I, we've said this before on Forage Friday. Yes, our job is to sell seed, but our number one job is to help our producers be successful so we can keep putting food on America's plates.
Yep.
That's the higher calling to this. So
Yes.
we want to make sure that it's done right and that we're here to assist you and here to help you do that. That's the best part of the day is when we've got to work with the producer, help them make the right decisions for their program, help them come up with a plan, and to see that plan be successful, to get those calls and to get those pictures where they've just got ample grass and great hay quality and got their forage test back and they're doing backflips about their quality of their forages. Those are the days where it makes everything worth it. Because selling grass seed's it's not for the faint of heart. It's not the easiest thing in the world. But the rewards at the end are huge.
Huge.
Yeah.
Well, didn't mean to necessarily get into a whole company spiel, but I mean that was my honest opinion, honest feelings about the job. But like I say, we do have some excellent varieties to use. Like I say, again, if you're thinking about something that you can graze this summer, our Grit Bermuda is it within about 7 weeks after planting. You want your soil temperature 65 to 70. We've got instructions on how to plant to get a good, strong stand. Then with the Mojo, it is an annual. Crabgrass is an annual, but our Mojo is a blend of Red River and Impact, and it is coated with Yellow Jacket. We do add the Impact because Impact is a later maturing variety, so we keep quality up longer over the grazing season. Again, ideally, Grit and Mojo are going to be planted about the same way, disking up, firming up, broadcasting, rolling, pressing seed in good contact with soil. I recommend that producers allow for Mojo to go to seed twice during the growing season, once early on, once later on. The early seed are going to be predominantly Red River. The later seed are going to be predominantly Impact. And that way it'll keep your blend out there, because then you shatter those seed off either by haying or running a bush hog, or in Jeff's area, a brush hog over the top to shatter those seed off. There's different terms for different places in the country. So yeah, I've learned that lesson really well. Shatter those seed off, and then disturbing the soil some in the fall will help get those in the seed bank, and then it will come back the next spring. So even though it's an annual, we can make it act like it's a perennial, even though the plant itself is an annual. So a couple of great options for great nutritional value feeding animals during the hot part of the summer.
Absolutely. And I'm going to say something that's probably not the most recommended technique. We do have people out there that will go into an existing field, especially with our Mojo crabgrass. They'll do a drag to rough up the soil, kind of rough up the thatch, and then they'll broadcast and then do another drag or some type of pressing to get the seed down into that, down to the soil level so that it makes good soil contact. Not going to say, it's always best to till up the land, to work it, and get rid of that competition. But there's a lot of people out there that's going to they don't have the ability to disc up or to get the ideal seed bed prep. For those situations, definitely do something with a drag harrow broadcast and then drag back behind that. Especially with the crabgrass, I think you're still going to get a pretty good stand out of that. Bermuda is going to need even more seed to soil contact. So I may not always do that with Bermuda. The main thing, especially for those that are, seeding into an existing stand without, preparing the soil a seed bed. The main thing is pull cattle off or horses off, pull them off of that until that's well established. If you don't do anything else, make sure you allow that grass to become well established before grazing it. Make sure it's well established before you spray it. Be careful about using herbicides that have a soil resistance or a
Resist.
Be careful about using herbicides with this soil residual that affect roots, because that's going to affect that plant developing its root system. Weeds are plants too, and if it can do it to a weed, it can do it to the grass, especially when the grass is trying to get established. So be mindful of that. We do ask,
and be careful any herbicides you put out beforehand. There are herbicides that prevent crabgrass from growing for up to 2 years. Yes. And so you for what we call common crabgrass, but it's going to work the same on the hybrid crabgrass. It's going to keep it from growing. We've answered those issues for producers before, because they tried to plant crabgrass, didn't come up.
You definitely want to plan for this. This isn't something that you wake up tomorrow morning and go, "Hey, let's run by the store and pick up some seed and plant something this weekend." Look back the last 2 years. What did you spray that might keep this grass from coming up? It's something you definitely want to plan out.
Especially when it comes to clovers. Jeff, if I can add this, I know we're about to get long, but if I can add this, a lot of times people ask me, said, "Well, can I use a sod drill on these warm season grasses?" No, you do not want to use a sod drill. Sod drill is going to put those seed way too deep. If you use some type of seeder, a Brilliant seeder is really what you want to use. These seed maximum depth is 1/4 of an inch, but even more optimal is 1/8 of an inch. And basically what Jeff and I have been talking about is just making sure you got good seed to soil contact.
Yeah.
So that's
another thing that came up recently. I was visiting with somebody from our local NRCS office, and they were talking about producers that were going out. It was a different blend, but it used Giant like we use in grit. They were doubling and tripling the seeding rates. That's a horrible idea. You don't want to double the seeding rate. What was happening, and the variety that was being used with the Giant has been a good variety over the years. But what they were doing, it's like parts of our grit, it's a little slower to come along. We use the Giant because it comes out of the ground really fast. When you double that seeding rate, you're doubling how much Giant is there. And that Giant is coming out of the ground so fast. And by doubling that seeding rate, you've now doubled the plants to the point that you're shading out some of the other Bermuda grass varieties that are in that blend to the point that
lasting ones. Yeah.
You're losing the benefit of that blend. Giant's not the most cold tolerant, and it's not the most cold tolerant in our grit blend. It's almost like a nurse crop, so to speak, for the higher end varieties that are in it. So you don't want to double it up and end up shading out the really good varieties that are in there. So stick to the seeding recommendations. Don't double it up. If somebody asks you to double up the seeding rate, give us a shout. Let us talk to them. But we do not want to see you doubling the seeding rate twice. If a little bit's better, if a little bit's good, twice as much better. It does not play into this.
No.
We have recommended seeding rates for a reason. We'd love to sell you more seed, but we don't want you to do it that way. We don't want to sell you more seed because you are messing up your stand.
Right.
Like I said before, bottom line, we want to see you be successful.
Exactly.
Hey, we have run up to the end of our time. Sam, you got anything coming up? Any events coming up that you're going to be at?
Georgia Cattlemen's in a couple of weeks in Perry, Georgia. So that's the next one that I'll be at.
I've got Arkansas Forage and Grasslands Council. Did I say that right? Correct me
Yes.
if I said it wrong.
Nope.
That's coming up this next week. We got the Hemp Hill County Beef Show coming up in Canadian, Texas. Always a big show. Look forward to seeing everyone there. We'll be playing our video from Dust. We'll be there with Curtis and Curtis, and then BD Sales and Service. We'll be there at the booth with them, and we'll be showing the video that we all did together. I know there's some other stuff coming up. I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but we'll hopefully do another episode before those events show up.
As we get into the summer and fall, we'll have several other events coming up, and we'll get some more Forge Fridays in before then. We apologize that, and part of it was my issues. I had some issues this spring I had to deal with, and but doing much better now. So I appreciate all of our audience, and hopefully we can continue to grow it. And we'll get back doing this on a more regular basis.
Sounds great. Sam, loved it. Everybody have a great one out there.
All right. Y'all have a great weekend and great spring.